Kohlie, got you a brake booster, and here's my test rig. Going over a couple of things. First of all, let's see. Bleed screw on the slave cylinder is not necessary to use, just leave it alone. When you are installing the lines to the slave cylinder, use the flats right here, put a wrench on here and hold this thing stationary so that when you wrench down on the fittings for the brake lines, you don't move the slave cylinder. This jam nut keeps it from turning, but you can overcome the jam nut pressure with a regular 19 millimeter wrench up here on these fittings. So just secure the slave cylinder. Let's see. We got vacuum here. Got input, brake fluid in, brake fluid out, and we got vacuum. This is a test port that you can use whenever you want to. And this is what the machine is going to, excuse my voice, I'm getting over the COVID like you are. Anyway, vacuum, we've got these two gauges are tied together, and when they go up, both will register. The vacuum is produced by my machine, and then as the booster is activated, this gauge, which is tied to the hose that goes to this fitting right here, this gauge is going to go to 0. The closer it gets to 0, the more the booster is activated. And then when it hits 0, the booster is fully activated. Over here, we've got the hydraulic side. Usually don't have that line in the way. Input. Both gauges are tied together. And this gauge goes up, maxes out. And this gauge goes up and reads final input pressure as provided by my brake booster testing machine, by the master cylinder on it. Output. Again, both gauges are tied together. This gauge goes up, maxes out, and this reads final output pressure. Now then, without vacuum going to it, the booster is inert, and all it does is pass the fluid in from one side at the input, and it goes out the output, and it's the same pressure. Input and output are the same. So I'm going to show you that right now. It's also a way to check the accuracy of the gauges. So you can see we got 350, 350, 350 approximately. Now then, vacuum. This is a 2-to-1 boost ratio, so if we've got 350 in, we're going to have at least 700 PSI out. Alright, while we're here, we're going to check seepage. This thing makes so much noise. It's because of the imbalance in the vacuum pump. Anyway, what we do when we're under pressure, we check for leaks here at our bleed screws, and also down here at the jam nut, because this jam nut holds this slave cylinder in place, and at the base this slave cylinder screws into the face plate, and there's a seal down there. So we're checking seepage right here. Now we have a little drip right here, but that's coming from our fitting up here. And again, that's why I say you're gonna need to hold the flats right here. Let's see if I can see. Hold the flats, hold this slave cylinder still while you wrench down here to make sure you can seal this properly, because you're gonna have 700-800 psi out easily, and you need to make sure that seals off. And it's hard to do without holding the slave cylinder in position to keep it from rotating. Recommend .3 brake fluid. And let's see, I think I think that's it. I think we got you a good booster. Thank you for your patience.